Hello everyone and welcome to another unboxing, and it's a Sebo today. Now I have unboxed almost identical Sebo to this on my channel quite a while ago, certainly pre high definition days and pre 4K days, so this one might look a little bit clearer to you. Also, it has the power driven head, which my previous C3 Power didn't have. So, it should be the same machine, apart from the additional power head. Okay, right, well, it's been wrapped up quite well. Broken polystyrene, that always happens with Sebo cleaners for some reason. Let's take the machine out. I'm glad to say it does have the power nozzle. And here it is. We'll have a closer look at that in a minute. There's a spare bag. This takes the same bags as Sebo X series from the X1, X4 and the X7. But this is the old style paper bag. You can of course fit the newer fleece bags into this machine. Now this has probably been in storage for a while, so it's a little bit grubby. Here's the hose, power hose. So this is the cleaner end that connects up obviously to the machine, and this is the handle that incorporates a remote control to turn the machine off, maximum 1500 watts. Now it doesn't have the power takeoff socket, so I'm hoping that that is in the bag with a power head, otherwise I'll have to contact the seller, because there should be a little pigtail connection with a wire which actually provides power to a socket here for the power driven head. We've got a metal wand, very slight signs of light rust, a little bit of metal polish should deal with that. And it's been, yes, it's a little bit stiff because this has been stored away. It'll loosen up. Stored away for a long time. Oops. This is Sebo's main carpet and hard floor nozzle. Pretty decent quality. You've got your litter pickers. You've got a brush that goes around the full circumference of the head, apart from there is a gap either side to allow for side suction. And it's a click fit. Very nice nozzle, straight suction, but of course we'll be using a power nozzle for carpet cleaning, but that's suitable for loop pile carpets and of course hard floors. Aha, there, that's good. This is what I'm after. This is the pigtail connection that we need for the power nozzle. There's also this part which is from the Airbelt. I'll have to see if it's come off the machine or it's just a spare one. And if you don't know what the Airbelt is, I'll be describing that in a minute. We have an instruction book, just a separate instruction book for the power nozzle. It's ETL. And another little Sebo brochure telling you all about their Duo P dry powder carpet cleaning system, carpet and upholstery cleaning system. And there's a few other products on the back, including the X1. This is before the X1.1 there, X1. And then there's another, that's a C2 total, I think. And then there's a Duo machine. So I think that's it. And there's no broken bits of plastic in there, which is good. Nice to see. Let's have a look at this power head in a bit more detail, because as I said, my previous C3 didn't actually come with a power head. So here it is. It's quite light. It's not much heavier really than a standard head. We've got a cable, and it's got a cable tie, so I just need to undo that. There we go. So it's just got a short cable, this, because we only need the short cable to go up the extension wand Were some versions of this that had an extra long cable that you had to clip to the hose and plug it into a socket on the machine. I think this is made by Vesselwerk, as many Sebo nozzles and Miele nozzles are. In fact, that brush roll looks very like the brush roll on a Miele power nozzle. Not the big beefy power nozzle, but you know the other power nozzle that Miele do or did. Quite long brushes, but fairly soft. There's a squeegee at the back to trap dirt to stop it from flicking behind. 2 little wheels at the front and 2 at the back. And it actually has a separate motor, obviously, which is 30 watts. So it'll be interesting to see how that performs. So there we go, that's the power nozzle. Well, here it is, the Sebo Airbelt C3 Power. And I have to say that the C series cylinders or canisters are probably my favourite Sebo of all time. Now, there's been plenty of other Sebos after this, but for me, it's just one of the best. I really like it. The build quality is fantastic. It's a little bit quirky, the design, a bit unusual, very solid build, good build quality on these machines, excellent in fact. And it has the Airbelt system, which is this belt around the circumference of the vacuum. So under this covering, which can be replaced, you can replace it with the same colour or a different, they used to do lots of different designs, quite surreal designs, including elephants, I can't remember the others, daisies I think, all sorts of different bright designs you could change the Airbelt for. This protects the cleaner and your furniture from being knocked about, and the exhaust vents out, the exhaust air from the cleaner vents out the side of this, but it acts as a bumper as you're pulling the machine along. So it does, after a lot of use, this might tear or become worn, so you can just replace the outer. You can replace the inner as well if it really gets badly battered about. Now, I do notice we have this awful gap here, which is what this bit's for. When you buy a new Airbelt cover, they normally supply a new one of these. So this is obviously just come off. It should just clip back on. I don't think that's clipped. I think it's in place anyway. So this is the machine. Very nice. Big pedals on the side here. One for your auto core rewind and one to turn the mains on and off. You don't have to use it to turn the machine on and off, because obviously this has a remote handle, so you normally switch the machine on and off via the handle. The hose goes into the port here, and you also have a bag check indicator there. To access the onboard cleaning tools, we press this button here, and the cover partly opens so we can open it fully to reveal the onboard tools. So it's a full set of full-sized tools. Very nice crevice tool, Sebo's triangular shaped dusting brush, which has to be used on lower power settings, I find, otherwise this powerful suction just sucks the brushes into the airflow and it's no use. So this is best on low power settings, and you can adjust it. It does rotate, but when you need to store it back, you need to line up. I don't know if you can quite see, there's a little symbol there. You need to line that up with the other part of the symbol so it forms the dusting brush shape. So when it's like that, it will store back in the cleaner. Unfortunately, to access this nozzle, you do have to remove the other two. Oh no, I'm not sure. I don't know if you have to remove the other two. That's a bit of a faff. Doesn't want to go back. I think you do, yes. So both of these nozzles have to come out if you just want to use this nozzle, which is, yeah, a little bit awkward. That's a nice all-purpose / upholstery nozzle with a fairly stiff brush on the back to help dislodge any dirt or loosen pet hairs from your furniture or your stairs. So it's the same tools. I don't think they've changed. Same tools you get now with most Sebo cleaners. So let's work out how to put them back in. It's a bit of a jigsaw. And that's it. And then the nozzle goes in there. And handily, we have the instruction book built in. which is a nice touch. Very small instruction book. But it obviously gives you the basic features and functions, shows you how to change the air belt, and of course emptying the bag, changing the bag, and a filter, changing the filters, etc. But obviously there is a separate, as I showed you, there is a separate instruction book for the power nozzle, so that just slots back in there. So I wonder how many people bothered even looking at the instructions, or even when they had looked at them, I wonder how many actually put it back. We'll have a quick look at the rating plate and then it will be time to switch this machine on. So it's type Sebo Airbelt C3.1, serial number K402524, 240 volts, 50 Hertz, 1200 watts, but with a maximum of 1500 watts. I've never known how that works somehow. Often you get vacuum cleaners with different wattages, but this one shows 1200, 1350 and 1500 watts. Stein & Co, made in Germany. A couple more things to show you before I switch this Sebo on. This is obviously the underside of the cleaner where we access the dust bag, and you can see it's got 4 casters, which makes this machine very manoeuvrable as opposed to some machines that might have 2 fixed wheels at the back and a single caster here. Having 4 casters means this machine will go in any direction you pull it or push it. So it does make it highly manoeuvrable, and you can feel its quality. Very tough, well-made machine this. So to access the dust bag, you've got a bag symbol here, and out comes the dust bag along with the bag door. Got a nice bit of Sebo branding just underneath there. And this is the X series bag, so if you had an X series upright alongside a C series cylinder machine, you can use the same bags, which is handy. But I think I'll be replacing these with the new fleece bags because they are a little bit better at filtration. They're still fairly good for paper bags, these, but obviously when we have a new type of filter bag we might as well use it. So that's your bag door. Obviously if I was to try and use this bagless, and why would I, doesn't let you close it until there is a bag properly inserted. Even if you've put the bag in and it's not quite in properly, it won't let you. You just need to, there's this little safety device here, so as I push the bag in, you can see that pops there, so that enables me to close the bag door. If it wasn't quite in place, looks in place there, but you can see I've not pushed it fully home. That will stop me putting it onto the machine again, so I've got to make sure that that is there. A couple of filters to show you. This one is pre-motor, and this is the highest, this is hospital grade, it's just printed, I don't know if you can quite read it. So this is the higher grade filter. There was a lower grade filter that didn't have this middle part of filtration material. And on the C1, which I do have, which was Sebo's first cylinder machine, still had the remote handle, but it had a worse filter system than this. It just had a sort of a single layered flat filter that fitted over here. So Sebo quickly upgraded the filtration with this. That slots in, and then the post motor filter is here. If I can get it, there we are. It's not, now I've got a cat and dog version in red which doesn't have the power nozzle, but it does have a charcoal filter. This one, because I can't hear a shaking noise, doesn't have the charcoal granules. Plus the charcoal filter does have a cover over here. This is the standard filter, nice and white. That will turn black with use due to the carbon dust produced by the motor, and especially when vacuums are brand new, they tend to produce a little bit more carbon dust as the carbon brushes are bedding in. So you might find only after a couple of weeks it's gone quite black, but that doesn't continue through the life of the machine. It will always emit some carbon dust, but I always find more carbon dust is emitted at the start when the cleaner is new, it's all very nicely sealed around here. There's a seal underneath here where the filter goes in, and obviously a seal all the way around where the bag door goes. So that pops in there. It's just, you know, it's such a good quality of plastic on these cleaners. So there we go. So obviously that's closed, and to lock it in place we press that. So there we go. Cord rewind, obviously, and the cord is located here. Nice smooth action. We've also got, whoops, a little parking bracket on the back. Do we have one on the side? Yes, we do. On one side we also have the storage slot on the side of the machine. I'm not sure if it works with the power nozzle. Oh, it does. It should do. Oh, that's handy to know. So you can actually store the power nozzle on there. Lovely, lovely machines. The main fault, and there's not many faults I find with this style of Sebo. I mean, it is quite large and fairly heavy for the machines we have nowadays. They tend to be a lot more compact. Because the hose inlet is offset, it's not in the middle, it does tend to veer to one side as you're pulling it along, but that's just a little niggle. Nearly there. Don't want to pull it out too much. Right, let's let it go back in a bit. Now, if I plug it in and switch it on at the wall, it might turn on even without a hose attached. Let's give it a go. No, it won't. But now, if I was to press this, it should turn on maximum. Okay, let's put the hose in. It only goes in one way until it clicks. And what I like about this is obviously pre-EU regulations when the wattages of motors were reduced, and also manufacturers, to try and increase the suction and the airflow, they produced these tapered hoses, and sometimes they're very awkward. Newer Sebo cleaners I've used have a tapered hose, and they're very wide at this end and they get progressively less wide at the handle end, but it makes them awkward. This is the same diameter from start to finish. Not that long, to be honest, the hose. So now, well, if we turn it on now, it's off here. If we turn it on at the machine, we have a little green light to show that it's plugged in, and now I can control the machine via the hand grip. Now, before I can use the power nozzle, I need to connect up this little pigtail connection. So I'll just turn it off at the cleaner. So there should be no mains power going to the hose. And I'll just connect this up. Now I can't remember which goes in first. If it's the front or the back. I'll just put them both in slightly. They both need to be pushed in firmly. Right, so they're in position. So the front one, you need to push that right in. I'm not sure it's going to click. It doesn't click, but that is pushed in fully home. Now the back one should click into position. A slight click. It should stay where you put it. Now, yeah, that seems to be in position. That can be replaced if this part becomes worn. You can buy a completely new bit to put in. Obviously some manufacturers like Miele incorporate this inside the handle, so if it goes wrong inside the handle, it's much more of an expensive repair. And I think later Sebos, I'm not sure if they still use this. Just thinking about my latest E3 Premium, I think they still do use this setup. So anyway, here we go. We can turn it on now. Oh, when it's switched on at the machine first, of course. Very nice. Right, here's the power nozzle. And you also get supplied two little clips so we can clip the cable to the extension one so it's not flapping about. So I'll just put these clips on the cable. We'll adjust them properly in a minute. Just clip them on. And before we put the power head on, I'll just get my suction gauge and we'll see what the old suction power is of this vacuum. The water lift. Right, I'll do that off camera because that's quite stiff. They will push on eventually, but it's quite a job that. But we can put the wand onto the nozzle. Okay, I can see my suction gauge, so we'll give this a quick go, see what it is. Suction is on the old gauge. Well, there you go. That went up to about 90, which is very good. I think it's probably the most powerful vacuum I've actually measured with this gauge since I got the gauge. I think the last vacuum I did that was pretty powerful was about 82, but this went up to 90. That's obviously with a completely empty dust bag and clean filters. The efficiency may drop off, obviously, as the bag fills, but less so if I was to use the new fleece style bags. Okay, then without any further ado, I'll connect up the power nozzle and we'll give that a go. Okay, so that's the electric power brush connected. One thing to note, once you've actually installed these black clips, they don't move up and down easily like many cleaners I've used with power heads. So you've got to sort of get the final adjustment right. You've got to part them and move them. And once they're actually on that cable, that's where they'll stay until you prise them apart and move them. It's not easy to do, so try and get the positioning around sort of midway on each half of the wand. One little quirk with this nozzle, for some reason it will power up if this machine is switched on at the cleaner but not on at the remote. So I'll show you. So obviously all that's happening there, we've got no suction because the main vacuum motor isn't on. We've just got the 30-watt motor powering the electric brush. Now I read somewhere that it's apparently so you can brush in the Sebo Duo powder just by turning it on, and then obviously half an hour later you can vacuum it off by incorporating the suction as well. Whether that's true or not, I'm not sure, but it is a little bit inconvenient, to be honest, because as soon as you connect this nozzle, if you've got it on here, it'll just turn on. So be wary of that if you happen to get one of these. Let's just have a look at the nozzle rotating. Well folks, I thought I'd give a bit of a demonstration of this Sebo Airbelt C3 Power because I don't think I demonstrated the first one I unboxed a few years ago. So I've thrown down a load of dirt that you wouldn't expect to find in the average living room. So there's lentils, there's rolled oats, there's loose leaf tea, there's rice, and there is some very fine blue neon sand which matches the cleaner quite well. Okay, let's give it a go. See how well this power nozzle picks up all this dirt. Well, I have to say that's almost perfect. A couple of passes, one forward and one back. No real line of shame, although there's very slight less pickup here on the edge. But the main part of the nozzle I mean, yeah, there's a little bit of the fine sand. Probably get that the next time. And obviously, look, this is just surface dirt. It's not deep down dirt, but it's a very good result, as I would expect from a vintage-ish Sebo cleaner. Couldn't detect really any agitation like we get on some of those Hoover uprights with the beta bars. You can actually see the larger particles bouncing up and down. But, well, who needs agitation when you can get a clean sweep like that? Brilliant. Okay, I think I better clean up the rest of this mess. I'm going to clean up most of the mess using the power nozzle, but I thought it'd be interesting to see how the straight suction nozzle does. So I'll probably go to full power for this demo. Well, regarding the larger particles, there's not a lot in it, is there? It's left a few porridge oats, but again, they'll be picked up the next time. But what it has left, there's certainly more of the neon sand. So the sand would represent grit on a normal carpet, the sort of grit you bring in on the bottom of your shoes and it gets trodden in to the pile. So obviously the straight suction hasn't dealt with that quite as well as the power nozzle. Okay, well, I think I know which nozzle to use to clean up the rest of this, so I'll reconnect the power nozzle and finish the job. Well, there you go. That's the end of this video on the Sebo Airbelt C3 Power cylinder vacuum cleaner with power head. Looks like a bit of a dinosaur to some people watching, I expect. Now, of course, we've got those cordless stick machines, which at the time of making this video, in my opinion, are fine for doing your daily clean, for keeping your house clean and tidy. But for a deep clean, for a thorough clean, in my opinion, you still need a mains powered vacuum cleaner. Whether you go for a classic German mains powered bagged vacuum, which I tend to favour, or anything else that's mains powered, even a Dyson, even a bagless mains powered cleaner, on the whole will get out more dirt from carpets than the best cordless machines, apart from, of course, when some of the cordless machines are used on boost, which are then you're not going to get very much cleaning time on boost, are you? So in my opinion, still, you can't beat mains powered vacuum cleaners for deep down, all around the home cleaning. So that's the end of this video. Oh, before I go, let's have a look at the bag, shall we? All that dirt that's picked up should be safely inside the bag. So The messiest this gets, and of course with Sebo bags you do get a little cap, so I could put a little cap on that before I remove it. So there's no chance of any dust cloud when I drop that into the bin. Keeps all the dust and dirt inside. Now this is a paper bag. Obviously the new bags have slightly better filtration, but if we have a look, how clean that is. There is a tiny bit, a few tiny particles just down the bottom there. I don't know if you can quite see them, but very small. In my experience, especially using the fleece bags, the bag compartments of a bagged vacuum stays clean. You don't get the messy emptying. I know I'm shouting, well not shouting, but I'm preaching to people that probably think bagless is best. And there are times when a bagless cleaner is good, but still for me, my preference, people always ask me, what's your favourite vacuum cleaner? I can't tell you what my favourite single vacuum cleaner is, but I can tell you something. My preference for cleaning my home, a little bit of muck on the bottom, my preference for cleaning my home would always be bagged, mains powered, and a well-built machine, probably a German-made machine. That's my preference. That suits me. What suits you is up to you. It's your money. You pay your money. You takes your choice, as they say. So that's the end of the video. If you've got any comments or questions about the Sebo, please comment below. Don't forget to subscribe. Click the bell icon and you'll be notified of all my new uploads. So until the next time, thanks very much for watching, and I'll see you all very soon. Bye for now.